Hello dear students, welcome back. Today we will continue our grammar review and we will start with passive voice 1. We have studied this topic in B1, also in B2 level. This is a pretty important grammar topic for us to learn because it is mostly used in also daily language and academic language. We said that we can use passive voice in every tense we have. First of all, let's have a look at what is active voice, what is passive voice. Our normal grammar structure of our sentence is we start with our subject, then verb, object, place, and time. This is our regular sentence structure in any tense we have. If we want to look closer at this figure of speeches of these sentences, subject is actually the person or the thing that makes verb happen, and object is also the thing that is affected by the action in the verb, which is done by the subject. This explanation is important. Why? Because we are going to switch places of subject and object in our passive voice sentence. This is a rule for our active voice sentences. We start with subject, which actually does the verb of the sentence, and then object, which is influenced or affected by this action. And then we can add place and time. So, in passive voice, what do? We actually take the object of the sentence, which is an active voice, we put it in the beginning of our sentence. And then we use be verb 3 form, and then we add who did it, which is our subject in a normal active voice sentence. This is also applies for Turkish. We use also this grammar topic in Turkish, and this is the main reason why do we do it. Okay, for example, I bought some flowers. This is a classic active voice sentence. Let's have a look at the figure of speech of these sentences. This is the subject who actually does this action, which is buying some flowers. And then we have object, which is affected by the verb in this sentence. Now, I want to switch this sentence into a passive voice one. Our rule is we take object and put it in our new sentence as our subject. Some flowers. And then, as we have talked here, we use our be verb 3 form as our verb. This be in the sentence actually depends on the tense and the new subject we have in the passive voice sentence. We can see that our tense in the sentence is past simple. And our new subject is some flowers, which is plural. That's why I am going to use were as my be. Now I have a verb 3 form. Bought is verb 2 form of buy, which is an irregular verb, and verb 2 is bought. Also, the verb 3 form of this verb is again bought. So I will say some flowers were bought. If I want to add who does this action in this sentence, I can add by and object pronoun of that verb, or I can just simply give a name. This is basically how we do passive voice. Now we're going to do a chart. How I am going to form be in passive voice sentences. If I have a present simple tense in a sentence, I either am going to use am, is, or are, verb 3. If we're talking about past simple, we're either going to use was or were, verb 3. If we're talking about present perfect simple tense, we're going to use have or has been, verb 3. If the tense of the sentence is past perfect, we're going to use had been, verb 3. And if we're talking about future simple, which is will, we're going to use will be, verb 3. This is the chart we can get help from when we're talking about passive voice 1. So, as we have talked, there are two things that are the most important and the first things that we should look at when we are transforming an active voice sentence to a passive voice one. The first thing is to find the tense of the sentence. Second one is find the object of the sentence. Let's say they will build a new bridge. First things first, I will look at the tense. I can see will, verb 1 in the sentence, so I understand that this is a future simple 1. And I will look at the object, which is a new bridge in this sentence. I take the old object and put it as my new subject of the sentence, a new bridge. We said that if we're talking about future simple, I will use will be, verb 3. We don't form be in future simple. Will be. Build is an irregular verb, and the verb 3 form is builds. And if I want to add the information of who will do this action, I can say by them. The important thing is we use subject pronoun here, but if I'm talking about a pronoun after by, I have to use the object form. Okay. The government declared a new law. Again, I will find the tense of the sentence, first things first. You can see the ed form here, which I understand that is verb 2. So, the tense of the sentence is past simple. And the second thing I have to find is the object of the sentence. You can see that the government is the subject, declared is our verb, and a new law is the object. Now I will start writing my new sentence using passive voice. I will start with the old object, which is a new law. Now I will use be verb 3 form. We said that when we're using past simple, I will either use was or were and then verb 3. This is a singular noun, so I will choose was. This is a regular verb, declare, so I will again use declared. By the government. This is our new subject of the passive voice sentence. I use the verb 3 form, be verb 3 form, and then if I want to add who did this action, I will add it to the sentence using by. If there's a special name or a noun, I can use it. But as we have talked, if I want to say a pronoun, I have to use the object pronoun. Let's say that scientists have found a new theory about space. What is our tense here? You can see how verb 3 form, so I understand that this is a present perfect simple tense. Let's look at the figure of speeches in this sentence. Scientists is our subject, verb, and a new theory about the space is the object. Let's start writing our new passive voice sentence. A new theory about space. I have to look at if this is singular or plural, which I understand that this is singular, has been found by the scientists. What you have to remember is how we form our passive voice sentence. If I am transforming an active voice sentence to a passive voice one, I am going to take the object of the sentence and I am going to make it our new subject of our passive voice sentence. Then I will use be verb 3 form. Be depends on the tense and our new subject. And then if I want to add who actually does that action, I am going to use by and who did it. Now we will talk about passive voice 2. When we're talking about passive voice 2, we use progressive tenses, such as present progressive, past progressive, present perfect progressive, past perfect progressive, and I can use future simple progressive. Let's start with present progressive. The rule we have in passive voice too is now be, being, and verb 3. So I will either use am, is, or are, being, verb 3, future simple, will, be being, verb 3. If we're talking about past progressive, was, were, was or were, being, verb 3, and have, has, been, being, verb 3, had been, being, verb 3. This is our rules we use in passive voice too. For example, my family is constructing a new building. Let's look at this one. Our tense here is, as you can see, present progressive, and our object is a new building. Don't forget the rule here. We use be, being, verb 3. So I will start writing my new sentence. A new building. I am going to use am, is, or are. This is a singular one, so I will use is being constructed. Now I will add the information to the sentence. Who actually does this action? By my family. They were celebrating Easter last year. The tense we used in the sentence is past progressive. And I will find the object now, which is Easter in this example. Now we can rewrite this sentence. Easter was being celebrated by them last year. Also, there is one more thing when we use passive voice too. For example, scientists estimated that there will be water wars in, let's say, 50 years. In sentences like this, if our object of the sentence starts with that, and the that in the sentence explains actually the actual object of the sentence, there's something we do differently other than other passive voice examples. I will start with, actually, when you look at the sentence, this is our subject, verb, and then this is our main object of the sentence. The rest of this part is actually define that. So that's why we're going to put that into the beginning of the sentence. But rather than doing that into the subject, I use it. I take that and put it as it, as my new subject. Then I continue. This is our verb. It is in verb 2 form. So I will say, it was estimated that. Now I will explain the actual object of the sentence. It was estimated that there will be water wars in 50 years. Now I want to give the information who estimated that by scientists. So if you come across an example which the object of the sentence starts with that and there's an explanation after that according to the object, you are going to start with it, then take this main verb of the sentence and go on with that one, and then actually explain the object. We don't change the tense in the object sentence one because this is not our concern. Our main concern is to form our actual verb in the sentence. So let's take a note. If the object of the sentence starts with that and goes on explaining the object, we will start our new passive voice sentence with it, then go on with main verb of the sentence and at the end of the sentence explain the actual object. One more thing, experts believe that by 2030, there will be colonies on the moon. This is a similar example, and as you can see, again, our object starts with that, and we continue explaining that object. So I will start my sentence, it, then find the actual verb, which is formed in verb 1, present simple, So I will continue. It is believed. By the way, I can put by experts also here. None of them is wrong. You can also put it here and at the end of the sentence, by experts, that. Then I continue with our objects. By 2030, there will be colonies on the moon. As you can see, I don't do anything to the tense of the object sentence. I just put it there. The only thing that concerns us is to start with it and then our main verb to form it. Who does it? It can also be here, also at the end of the sentence. Then explain our object. Okay, let's do a quick review of passive voice 2. We'll start with progressive tenses. We said that we use passive voice 2 when we're talking about progressive forms of our actual tenses. And we use be plus being verb 3 form. For example, if I'm talking about past progressive, I either use was or were depending on our new subject. Being verb 3. Present perfect progressive, I will either use have or has, again depending on our new subject. Been, being verb 3. Don't forget to actually add this be form. Past perfect, had been, being verb 3, for example. My family is constructing a new building. As we have said, it doesn't matter if it's passive voice 1 or 2. First thing you should find is the tense of the sentence and then our object, because we're going to make it our new subject. A new building is being constructed by my family. I take the object of the sentence and make it our new subject. Then I form our be, being verb 3, and then if I want to add who actually did that action, I can add it at the end of the sentence. They were celebrating Easter last year. You can see that this is a past progressive sentence. And our object is Easter. Easter was being celebrated by them last year. By the way, a quick note. I will write it here. Some verbs cannot get objects, and we can't rewrite those sentences in passive voice. For example, what are those? Swim. This verb cannot get an object, or walk, or run, grow. Things like this. So we cannot do every sentence in using passive voice form. This is important. Then we went on with when object starts with that, and then we explain the object. For example, scientists estimated that there will be water wars in 50 years. Our actual object is here. It starts with that. Rather than making that the subject of the sentence, I transform it into it and go on with our verb And then after our verb, I explain the object. Experts believe that by 2030 there will be colonies on the moon. Again, a similar example. It is believed by experts that by 2030 there will be colonies on the moon. Then, this is an important note. We cannot make every sentence into a passive voice one. We have to use a verb that can get an object. For example, look at these verbs. I swam in the ocean. There is no object in the sentence, and this verb cannot get any object. It is not meaningful, so it means that we cannot make every sentence in passive voice form. Let's do a couple more examples. Professors found out that human body can survive 6 days without food. Look at this one. Again, a similar example to the one that we talked about. Our object starts with that. It was found out that human body can survive 6 days without food. As you can see, I started with our old object and made it our new subject, then our be verb 3 form. Then I explained the objects, and I can add by professors at the end of our sentence. Teachers were teaching students new things. This is a past progressive sentence. You can see the verb ing form. So I will take our object, new things were being taught by teachers to students. Yes, this is our last example of passive voice. Now we will start reviewing reported speech. Also, in our next lesson, we will continue talking about reported speech. This is also a very important topic for us to learn. We will start with orders and requests. We will also study statements, questions, and other forms of sentences. When we're talking about orders and requests, for example, let's do a direct speech first. Let's say John says, leave your bag here. The main reason we use reported speech is to deliver what someone else says, and we are reporting their words. Leave your bag here. This is an order/request sentence. I can say, John told me to leave. Be careful with possessive adjectives, object pronouns, and subject pronouns. Leave my bag here. Our rule is to start with subject. Then I can use told, asked, said. If I use told or asked, I can also give the information of who told whom he told this. And then, if I'm talking about an affirmative request or an order, I use to, then our verb one, and if we have object, place, or time, I can add them also to the sentence. But the thing that you should be careful is to, when we're transforming the possessive adjectives, object pronouns, possessive pronouns, or subject pronouns, you have to transform them. Also, the time expressions. Let's say take your medicine with you. I will say, Mary told me or said that to take my medicine with me. What I did here is I was careful using the object pronoun here and the possessive adjective. Hurry, we will be late. I will say, Jay told me to hurry. We will be late. These are affirmative orders and requests. If I want to report a negative order or request, let's give an example. Don't hurry. I have a lot of time. For example, you can see the negative order here. So this time, I'm not going to use to, but I will use not to. Jay told me not to hurry. He has a lot of time. Let's look at here. If we are talking about a positive statement, a request, an order, I will use to after who he talked to. But if I'm talking about a negative order or request, I will use not to instead of just to. Don't speak loud. My daughter is sleeping. I will say, Mary told me not to speak loud. Her daughter is sleeping. These are how we transform direct speech, order direct speech, to reported speech. If we're talking about an affirmative one, I am going to use to verb 1. For example, John told me to leave my bag here. And the thing that you should be careful with is to transform the time expressions and the pronouns or adjectives. Take your medicine with you. Mary told me or said that to take my medicine with me. Jay says, hurry, we will be late. Jay told me to hurry, we will be late. Our pronoun here doesn't have to change because it applies for both of us, both Jay and me. And in the second one, you can see a negative example. Jay says, don't hurry, I have a lot of time. I'm going to report this order and say, Jay told me not to hurry, he has a lot of time. This time, I had to change the pronoun, the subject pronoun here, because it doesn't apply for me, it has to be changed. Now, you can see the other example. Mary says, don't speak loud, my daughter is sleeping. I will deliver her sentence and say, Mary told me not to speak loud, her daughter is sleeping. Now, we will talk about statements. How do we report someone else's statements, sentences, affirmative or negative? And then we will talk about question, how do we report our question sentences. The thing here, when we're delivering other one's statements, we're going to change our tense. If in direct speech, for example, present simple is used, in reported speech, when I'm delivering that sentence, I will use past simple to retell that sentence. Let's say that present progressive was used. I will use past progressive in the new reported speech sentence. Let's say that it is built with past simple. I will use past perfect. Also, if the direct speech is built with present perfect, I will again rewrite that sentence using past perfect. So both of these tenses goes to past perfect. If I'm talking about past progressive or present perfect progressive, both of them goes to past perfect progressive. So this is a general idea. How do we use our tense? We have to use one tense past than the original tense that is used in direct speech. So let's say that, for example, I love hanging out with my friends. I'm going to deliver this sentence as Mary said that she. In here, our tense is present simple. So it means that I am going to use past simple in our reported speech sentence. She loved hanging out with her friends. As you can see, I have to change the tense. The first thing I have to change is the tense. The second one, if there is a possessive adjective or an object pronoun or a subject pronoun or a time expression, I have to also transform these words. My brother called me last night. So we said that the things we should pay attention to is, first things first, tense, which in this case is past simple. Second thing, if there is a pronoun or a possessive adjective, you can see the possessive adjective, which is my, so I will transform it to his. And at the end of the sentence, you can see the time expression. I cannot use this time expression in my new sentence because I am going to transform past simple into past perfect. So I will say, instead of last night, I will say previous night. So let's rewrite this sentence. John said that his brother had called. I have also an object pronoun here, and I will transform me into him. And I won't say last night. Instead, I will say previous night. So as you can see, our direct speech was, my brother called me last night, and if I want to deliver this sentence to someone else, I will say, John said that his brother had called him previous night. I was careful with our tense. I was careful with object pronoun, possessive adjective, and the time expression. So, the reported speech isn't done yet, but we will continue studying reported speech in our next lesson. That's it for today. Thank you for joining our lesson. I hope you understood it. See you on our next lesson.